This is my quick and concise guide on how to train efficiently in Digimon World The Next Order. I picked this game up a few days ago, and here are some of the most vital tips that you should know if you're just beginning in the game. As someone who's played a shit ton of other Digimon games, I wanted to give a little bit of insight into what I think of the game and also hand out a few pointers to some of the guys who are new to it. For simplicity's sake, here is a list of everything that this guide will cover. Again, this video will be most useful for beginners, i.e. people who are maybe 5 to 15 hours into the game. And so if you've already been playing the game for a couple of weeks now and you're running around beating the shit out of everything you see with your Mega Digimon, this guide won't be as useful for you guys. All sections of the video are linked via annotations on the screen now, so if you want to get to a specific part you can click the box on screen. If anybody's watching on a mobile device or an iPad, I'll also put the timestamps in the description below and that'll take you where you want to get to. That being said, let's get straight into the guide. Alright, you want to kick some ass, so you get your Digimon and you go to the gym, but what's going on with this daft roulette wheel? If you talk to this little shitter over here, he'll tell you that there's bonuses available for your Digimon when training, but he doesn't actually explain or identify which picture refers to which icon and what the bonuses actually do. In a nutshell, there are a number of different steps that you can take in order to give yourself more bonus squares when training up your Digimon on the equipment. These different bonuses can be affected by a number of different things, including what you feed your Digimon, what time of day it is, and where you position your Digimon on the equipment itself. The bonuses are then shown on the left and right of the screen, and these will relate directly to the squares that you get when you run the roulette wheel. What's probably the most important information to take away from this is that it doesn't matter what square you actually land on, you will always receive a 1.25 times bonus to the skills that you're training. It's also important to note that landing on a critical square will also reduce how much fatigue you take, and therefore your Digimon will tire less. I have also read online that certain people assume that landing on a certain square will give you a certain bonus. For example, aiming for the happiness square and landing on the smiley face will give you increased happiness. I personally haven't seen those bonuses, and I don't know if they actually exist. If you guys want to discuss it in the comments, feel free, but for now, I just assume that landing on any square will give you the 1.25 critical bonus. The heart square will appear when your Digimon are on equipment next to one another. The rival bonus will appear when your Digimon are on equipment opposite one another. The food square will appear when you've eaten a certain type of food that will buff training effects, whereas the mood or happiness bonus will appear when your Digimon are happy. If you manage to land on a bonus square and then return to training again, you will also get the added square, which is the little W that you sometimes see. This square is presented as a consistency bonus, which is what the little Digimon on the left of the equipment talks about. There's also the day and night bonuses that you sometimes see, that's a little moon icon. This is just dependent on your Digimon and whether it's day or night and how they react to that certain setting. And then lastly, sometimes when you have a smaller Digimon and then a bigger Digimon, for example a rookie and a champion and an ultimate and a mega, you will see the little arrow that points upwards. This represents the Digivolution bonus that your bigger Digimon will teach to your smaller one, and that's a really good one to get if possible. And lastly, just before we leave the gym, it's important to note that there are Digimon who will come to the city and eventually buff your facilities. Not too far into the game, you will hopefully find Togemon and Coagemon, who, depending on whether it's day or night, will sit in the gym and give you different foods that will help buff different aspects of your training. And then there's also Kabuterimon, who, when he joins the city, gives you the option to upgrade your equipment in exchange for 10,000 bits each. You'll find Togemon in the server cemetery part of the server desert. Coagemon is found in the second power plant, sitting in the upper left corner. And then finally you can find Kabuterimon in the old cable channel. You'll have to fight him, but then once you beat him, he joins the city as well. Okay, so without a doubt, one of the easiest way to train and buff your Digimon in this game other than the gym is fighting against other Digimon. Sounds like a lot of common sense, but some people might undervalue training against other Digimon of your level. I think the most obvious benefit of this that everybody's probably aware of, but I'll say it anyway, is that fighting in-game battles instead of the gym does not take up any time in-game, and therefore you're not wasting your Digimon's lifetime while still gaining stats. In addition, battles will also tend to fatigue your Digimon less, and depending on whether you can find a suitable opponent for your Digimon of a similar level, you'll often find yourself buffing multiple stats at once, and you can save yourself a bit of time in that regard as well. On the whole, there aren't a lot of negatives to doing battles instead of using the gym. Some factors that you need to consider are that your Digimon will eventually get injured if you consecutively fight against tough enemies. There is also the chance that your Digimon die, but that's usually only if you're being a dumbass or you pick off more than you can chew by fighting tougher guys. Packing a couple of small recoveries or maybe even bandages and autopilots before you leave the city will obviously negate this a little. There are also tamer perks that you can take that I will discuss later in this video if you want to stick around for that as well, that can help this. As you play the game more, you'll get a better feel for which enemies you can train against and which ones you can't. As a general rule of thumb, it's best to avoid the enemies outlined in red, because they'll probably give you a severe ass whooping. Keep an eye on your stats and parameters after the battles are done. If you're starting to earn less or plateau against some of the enemies that you were getting strong buffs from earlier, move on to a bigger enemy and see how you get on with that guy. My first protocol when training up early rookies is to head to the number 2 power plant area of Nye Plains. Here you can pull the enemies over one at a time and battle them individually if you're not strong enough to take on the group as a whole. This starts as a good baseline. After this I head into the old cableway, where again the enemies are a little bit stronger but you can pull them over one at a time. As a quick note in this place, avoid those black Gabumon. Those guys are assholes. If you return during the evening or at night time, you'll find Numamon in their place. These guys are also good to battle against. After this point, if your rookies haven't digivolved yet but they're too strong to fight against the little shitters, I like to come to the gateway part of the Logic Volcano to fight this guy, Pidomon. To be honest, his location isn't that great for grinding if you want to walk in and out the screen because you'll have to walk up the hill. But for me, this guy's like the perfect sort of measurement for the rookie Digimon because they can beat him and he also pays out good stats as well. Bear in mind that these are just a couple of examples of the enemies that I like to train against. They might not necessarily be the best Digimon for you guys to fight. You should consider the type of Digimon that you have and how they're going to react to the environment that you're choosing to train in. After this stage, it's just a game of trial and error to find out which enemies and which spot suit your comp the best. So in order to get the most work done in this game, it's a good idea to have a decent routine. My average day tends to go as follows. You wake up in the gym, you eat breakfast, you train once or twice until your Digimon need to take their first dump. You go outside and then you go straight to the meat fields. After picking up your daily allowance, you head right and go talk to Nunamon. After you talk to Nunamon, you go into Digimon's swag pad. Once you talk to Item Bro, you then head about your daily business, whether that be training, battling, grinding for money or recruiting Digishares to join the city. Once it gets to around 7 to 8 PM, that's when I normally head back to the city and do some more training before bedtime. This will allow you to drop off any materials or items that you collected during the day and also make sure that you reset your routine properly. No, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but this is my routine and I thought I'd share it just in case anybody else was interested. In regards to making money, a quick tip is that if Item Bro gives you medicine, don't give it to your Digimon as I did earlier in this video, sell it to your shopkeeper and make money that way. In addition, if you set aside a large portion of your day to fight in battles instead of training in the gym, you will also naturally earn a large amount of money. My advice is that you save up early and then upgrade your equipment through Kabuterimon and then from there begin to develop yourself in your city as you see fit. Okay, so Tamer Skills. There is a huge number of different ways you could go about doing this, so I'm just going to give you the ones I think are important when your points are scarce early on in the game. In my opinion, the teacher type and evolving type within the trainer tab of your trainer skills are essential in the early stages of your career. This is because you're going to be using the gym most days and because your Digimon are always going to digivolve. I would also value 2 points in the life type and 1 point in the reverse type of the basic tab. The life points are just going to give you that extra time needed to evolve your champions into ultimates and maybe ultimates into megas, and the reverse point is just to give you that extra boost so you're not completely starting from scratch when you're in egg form again. After this, I would head to the commander tab where you can find the order type and learning type abilities. Order is going to give you a second move to unlock in battle so you can use 2 moves instead of 1, and then the points into learning is going to give you the ability to pick up new moves when you're out fighting and also pick up more skill points at the end of battles. Again, you're going to be beating up dweebs quite regularly, so these points just make a lot of sense. I have read online that a lot of people like the guard point and the order type abilities. This will just allow one of your Digimon to defend in battle, reducing a lot of the damage that they take. So if you want to run some sort of strategy where one of your smaller Digimon just defends and the other one does all the damage, then that can work for you. Maybe you want to consider this. In any case, I would avoid the OP gain ability in the order type of the commander part of your tree. This is going to give you 1 extra single point every time you praise in battle towards your order points and ultimates. This is just garbage in my opinion, and I wouldn't bother wasting any resources on it. And finally, one last point that I find quite useful is the walker type perks in the survivor tree. These points are going to allow you to regain HP and MP when you're walking about in between battles around the world, and can actually be really strong perks to take. In fact, during the beginning of the game, these are probably the only points you're going to take in this tree as a whole, because the rest can wait until later. As before, these are just some of my preferred perks, but if you guys think that some of the other ones should be held in higher regard, then let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to learn and hear what you guys have to say. And finally, there are a number of other little snippets of information I think might be useful to some of you guys that I've picked up as I've played through the first part of the game. When looking to digivolve into a specific Digimon, usually an ultimate or a mega, keep a close eye on the key points bar that's in the history tab of your Digivolution information. This is going to tell you how many of the criteria points you're going to have to match before your Digimon will digivolve into the target Digimon. This number can be more useful than you think, because even though a lot of your other stats may be hidden, it can give you an idea of how close you actually are to digivolving. If, for example, your key points figure reads 6, but you only have 5 pieces of information available, you can match those 5 stats that are there and then try to make an educated guess at some of the final ones. You never know. You might get lucky and then end up with a cheeky upgrade. Another thing to note is that when one of your Digimon pass away, try to pick an egg that's got a buff attached. Usually you'll find that some of the eggs have increased HP, speed, whatever. Try to pick one of those ones. You know, unless you've got some sort of obsession with a particular egg.
I like turtles.
Avoid battles that you can't win. Every time you run away from a fight, the bond between your Digimon decreases dramatically. As your Digimon's bond can sometimes affect the boosts you get from eating and sleeping, etc., and then eventually your Digivolution requirements, you want to avoid this if you can. If you have the builder in your city, you'll notice that you can upgrade Digimon's house, so that the items you get from Item Bro are improved. However, like me, you'll probably find that you don't have a lot of Digibamboo, and like me, you'll probably have no idea where you get it from. If you didn't already know, Digibamboo can be found from any trees in the starting area. You just have to get lucky and get a random drop. You'll know when it comes up because it's bright yellow. Keep an autopilot handy at all times. If it suddenly looks like that Meteormon is going to catch you, and then you realise you haven't saved in the past 4 hours, luckily you can instantly push square, and then instantly use an autopilot no matter where you are. This can be a super useful escape rope if you ever get in a tricky spot. So to summarise this mountain of garbage, if you're just starting out in Digimon World the Next Order, you can train more efficiently by understanding the roulette wheel of the training bonuses and how to give yourself the maximum number of squares on the bonus wheel, knowing where to obtain the bug Digimon that will eventually come to your gym and either buff the equipment or provide you with food buffs that you can use while training, understand the fact that fighting battles is sometimes the most efficient way to improve your Digimon stats, find your training spot and start to grind. Find a routine and start to stick to it. Remember to save up your money and buff your gym equipment first. If you get any medicine from Item Bro, make sure you sell it, don't use it. And finally, once you're a little bit into the game, make sure you pick the right Tamer skills. Don't pick the shit ones. There are ones that are really useful for early on and you should prioritise these first. And there you have it. I'm quite enjoying this game and I'm looking forward to going back to playing it later on. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Your time really means a lot and I hope you've maybe learned something useful from it. I've not even come close to scratching the surface of useful tips that are probably hidden away in this game, so if any of you guys feel like you've got some good knowledge and you want to pass it on to other people, let everybody know in the comments. I guarantee that someone will benefit from it. I have been Jack, aka Mr. Wolfie, aka whatever the hell you want to call me. Peace out folks, and have a nice day.